Hello and welcome to another episode of the Motorhome Matt podcast. I am Motorhome Matt and this is
Keith Gooden. He's the one that's shouting.
I am shouting. Why am I shouting?
Let's redo it, but don't shout. Just be nice.
Be nice. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Motorhome Matt podcast. I am Motorhome Matt and this is
Keith Gooden. I ask the stupid questions. Welcome along. Today's episode is about leisure batteries. But as usual, before we get to the meat, we get into the news. So first of all, it's the Peterborough show this weekend, Matt.
Woohoo! It is. We are heading north to Peterborough with That Leisure Shop and the whole team are going. So we've got Mandy, Andy, Darren and Jude.
Mandy, Andy, Darren and Jude.
It is the cast of the children's TV show, yeah.
It's like Kill Bill, isn't it?
It's more like Roger, Freddie and Bungle, I'll be honest. Yeah, so we're all going up. We're going up a range of products, lovely tables and chairs from Crespo, Beaucamp. I don't know if you've seen them. They're beautiful. Have you seen them in the shop?
I haven't, no.
Yeah, they are very light. They pack very flat. So they'll have a whole range of tables, chairs, accessories. We've got windbreaks, product from Seago. So you can get yourself a kayak or a paddleboard. And we've got welly boots from LBC, the lightest welly you'll ever wear.
Fantastic. And remember, weight is everything in a motorhome or caravan or a van. Any discounts to be had?
Always. Yeah, there is actually. There is. Yeah, our online discounts being applied at the show. £10 off everything, minimum. Some things got 30% off. So go and have a look.
Fantastic. This podcast, by the way, is brought to you with thatleisureshop.com. Get on the website and find the bargains now.
Indeed. And if you've not got tickets for the Peterborough show, you can go to showgoer.co.uk. And if you use the code MotorhomeMatt, then you will get a few pounds off.
Will you be speaking at this particular show?
I'm not actually, no. There's no bricks and mortar conference room. So I'm not, no.
But you will be there to sign autographs and do the kissing.
What?
Do the kissing.
There's no kissing.
You sure?
No, someone did ask me for an autograph at the Harrogate show.
I thought you were going to say somebody did ask me for a kiss.
No, well, no, they didn't do that. I'm glad he had a big beard. But no, they asked me for a selfie and an autograph. I had to sign our little flyer. It was great. They're an avid listener. They're a big fan of yours, Keith.
Are they really?
Yeah. Well, no, they're not.
I didn't think so.
They didn't even mention your name.
Well, of course they have. You cut me out of all the photographs. Who's the fat man in the corner? So if you can get to the Peterborough show with Matt this weekend, then absolutely do it. Okay, it is the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Brought to you with thatleisureshop.com. Let's launch in, shall we, to the meat of the whole podcast.
The steak and chips.
The apple crumble.
The apple crumble. Custard or cream?
Always custard.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, good choice.
Trifle. The trifle of the podcast,
Ooh,
even
no.
though it's not trifling.
No.
No? No?
No,
Shall we go
trifle.
Italian? Tiramisu?
Tiramisu? No, definitely not. Least favourite.
No, okay, yeah, I agree with you. I like a cup of coffee, but I don't like coffee flavour.
Where have you gone with this? We're now a food podcast.
Let's talk about leisure batteries, shall we?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. We've been talking about batteries a lot recently, haven't we?
We have a whole episode on lithium, which is the kind of, the big must-have, or is it? So we did a whole podcast on this and then a deep dive on YouTube. So if you really want to know about lithium batteries, then go and listen to the lithium episode and you can watch the whole thing. It's an interview with Bristol Caravans and the lovely Oakley Wood, and they unpack a lot more about lithium batteries with me.
Oakley Wood, by the way, is a person, not a place.
It does sound like a place, doesn't it? I'm sure it'd be a very nice place. If Oakley had anything to do with it, it'd be lovely.
You've been talking to your mates as well at BBL Batteries, haven't you?
We have. So Bristol Batteries Limited is what it stands for. So they're local to us and they're at all the national shows and a big company, a great business as well, family business. And they are battery specialists. And I spoke to the branch manager in Bristol, Glyn, and we were talking about the different types of battery. Now, we focused a lot on lithium recently, but people have said, Matt, you talk about wet batteries, lead acid batteries, but there are lots of different types and it's about the best battery for your application. Now, a lithium installation is not cheap, as Oakley instructed us.
As we discussed just a few podcasts ago.
As we discovered, yeah, quite. So there are different types of lead-acid battery, but which one is best? So I thought, right, let's go and get Glyn's view on this, and we can discuss traditional lead-acid, EFB, AGM, gel, and I asked Glyn to explain more about each of them. We get lots of questions on the podcast about batteries, leisure batteries, particularly lithium-ion batteries, and I thought I'd catch up with Glyn from BBL Batteries, the expert.
So they say. So they say.
That's what you get paid to be.
Well, exactly. I've got to get paid somehow, haven't I?
We're going to put you to the test.
Oh, good.
So let's walk through, whistle stop, at speed, the different types of leisure and starter battery.
Okay.
So starter batteries are the ones that start the engine.
Yep.
And the Fiat Ducato is called an 019.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Well done, you passed.
I'm meant to be testing you
got
on
a
this. And then we've got wet batteries, wet lead acid batteries.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Show us one of those.
Wet lead acid is down there.
Okay, this is what we call a basic leisure battery.
Basic leisure battery, yeah? Difference between leisure batteries and starter batteries when they're wet lead acid. The lead plates are a bit thicker and they withstand a deeper depth of discharge. If you did it with a normal car battery, you'd bugger it up in no time.
Listen, we got a podcast category, clean.
Okay.
Come on, keep it clean, keep your clothes on. That's the rule. Right. Okay. So so that really is if you're hooking up all the time, that's going to be fine because it's constantly going to be getting a charge, isn't it?
Constantly going to get a bit in a charge, and that's what a lot of vans come out with now.
Yeah.
You know, they put on a normal wet lead acid, and it's been around for years. It's the chemistry that's been around for years and years and years.
And that's what we're talking about, isn't it? Battery chemistry.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
next up, we've got then the different type. These are still lead acid.
Still lead acid.
We've got next up is the EFB.
Yeah, enhanced flooded. So this what stands for. So the Caravan Owners Club very kindly rated all these. So enhanced, though the wet lead acid is rated as C. As the owners will know, the enhanced flooded is rated as a B.
Okay.
Okay, and that's a enhancement on that one.
Okay.
They've just made it a bit better. It cycles more times.
So is
And
it?
a cycle's a charge and a discharge.
Okay, got it. Next up, we've got AGM. We're still a lead acid battery, aren't we?
Still a lead acid battery. Different.
Absorbent glass matting.
Oh, I see. You've got a job, definitely. So instead of being a fluid, the acid is held in suspension in a mat against the plate. This allows for more cycles again.
Right,
So this
okay.
is your premium A-rated one.
Right, okay. So we've gone from crap to better to ace.
I wouldn't say crap, but yes. It's all about how much you want to spend.
Absolutely. Now, the difference, of course, with AGM is it can be inside the motorhome, can't it? So that's a consideration. And for an EFB as well?
EFB, it still will vent. But a lot of motorhomes, as long as you put a vent tube on a wet lead acid or EFB, you can vent it to the outside. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And it's only if there's a problem with the charging system itself.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So if the battery, we often say, drops a cell, you
Yeah.
get that awful eggy smell, don't you?
Oh yeah, we all love that smell, don't we?
It's horrible. It's
great.
real sulphur. It's
Yeah,
re-
it's
and it
like
will
a
set your
volcano. That's what the smell you get.
yeah, and it will set your CO alarm off often, won't it?
It will do, yes. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So that's our lead acid range,
Yeah.
and then we come to lithium, which is behind you. If you step across, we'll be able to see it. There we go. So this is a lithium-ion battery,
Lithium,
iron with an R.
iron with an R. Lithium iron phosphate. Yeah.
We're going to get Dave to tell us the difference between lithium-ion and lithium-iron
We will, yes.
later on. But the big thing with these, they're light, and go on, tell us the rest.
So let's do a weight test for you, shall we?
Go on then.
So those are. So that's your lead acid,
Yeah, that's quite heavy.
quite heavy, and that's only 100 amps.
Yeah.
That's 120 amp lithium.
It's like a quarter of the weight, isn't it? Must be.
It's about half.
Half the weight.
Yeah.
Much lighter.
Lithium is going to cycle far more times.
Yeah.
So a cycle for a wet lead acid you'll get 250, which is a charge and a discharge. Lithium you can get up to 5,000
Right.
as long as you don't work it really hard.
They are a lot more expensive though, aren't they?
A lot more expensive, but don't forget you're getting the benefit of the amount of power you can pull out of it before it's flat. Wet lead acid, a 100 amp battery, you can only get 50 amps before it's completely flat.
Yeah.
A lithium 100 amp, you can get 90 amps out before it's flat. So you're already gaining, same size case, but you've got 40 amps more you can use before you flatten the thing, before any charge goes in.
And they charge at a much higher rate from the alternator or charger as well, don't they?
Yeah, they've got the ability to charge at a very high rate, so they can charge up a lot faster.
Yeah. About 80 amps an hour.
Absolutely, no problem whatsoever.
So if you've got a 100 amp hour lithium battery and you've basically flattened it, you've used 90 amps in an hour of driving, it's almost recharged, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they are superb. Yes, they're more expensive, but it's all about how quickly you want to be able to recharge it. How have you got to lift it out? If you've got to move it around. There's so many benefits to our lithium range, and with our range you don't have to change the charging system.
Steve from Loughborough has just been on our stand here at the Birmingham show, and he asked, can I replace my lead acid AGM battery with a lithium battery? Just a direct replacement. Can he?
You can with ours, yes. Obviously, if you're just replacing 100 amp with our 100 amp, absolutely fine. If you've got a selectable charging regime on your panel within your campervan, whatever, ideally put it to gel. But you don't have to with ours. Our BMS that we have put inside our batteries will allow for exactly the charging regime you got now.
Now, you just mentioned gel. They're behind us. Yeah. So, right, I'm not lifting one of these up. So these are incredibly heavy. Apparently you still sell loads of them.
We sell a lot of our Avon AGM gel. It's a heavy-duty battery. They are very heavy, but I bet you can lift that one up.
I'll try. So why would people... Oh my... Yeah, there's nothing in it.
It's a dummy!
I nearly hurt myself there.
But yeah, we have these built as range, as a range, but they are heavy-duty cyclic batteries. The beauty of these with AGM, you can put them on their side because it's completely sealed. Sit underneath your seat, no problem at all.
And is that the main benefit of a gel battery?
Yeah, but it cycles more again, so you got more cycle life out there. They are heavy duty, hard working cells.
And cycle life is about how much you're going to likely use the battery in isolation without charge, isn't it?
A cycle life is a charge and a discharge. Yeah. So again, it depends. It comes down to price. These are better than those. Those are better than our lithium is better than that.
So price-wise, can I put you to the test? Just basically. Go on then. So a basic wet lead acid, typical price.
Well, that one there, £100.
£100.
Approximately, we're talking approximately.
Yeah, round numbers. So next up, EFB, typically
160.
Yeah, about right. EFB. We just did EFB.
Didn't they?
AGM.
AGM 220.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Gel.
Gel, you're looking for 125 amp. You're looking about 260.
Yeah. Okay, and then go on lithium.
100 amp lithium on offer at the show, 788.
Brilliant. So a lot more expensive.
6-year guarantee though.
6-year guarantee. It's probably going to outlive the life ownership of the van, isn't it?
Absolutely. As I say, if you sell your van, take it out, put a cheap one in, and take it with.
I'm not buying a motorhome off you. Glyn, thanks ever so much. That has actually been really useful. Great to get your expertise on it. Have a great show, won't you?
That's very kind. Very great to see you.
And if you are at the show, BBL, if you ever come to the show, look out for them. Really helpful bunch. Most of them are, anyway.
That was Glyn from BBL Batteries. Where did you talk to him?
We were at the NEC show in February this year, 2023. Yeah.
And it sounded like the pair of you had just lunched on alphabeti spaghetti. EGM, APQ, RSTU.
We love an acronym in this business.
Is it a PPI, an RNI,
yeah.
OLP?
Yeah. No, Glyn's really helpful, and they're definitely worth checking out if you're looking for a battery supplier.
Okay, then. So let's talk about leisure batteries then, because there's a lot of choice, as we've just heard. There's a fair bit of technicality, but if you're just a motorhomer and you just want something which is going to work well for you, what's your recommendations?
I would look at an EFB or AGM lead-acid battery. So if you're not off-grid, I mean, it's all about how you're going to use it. If you're going to wild camp and you're a digital nomad, so you're going off-grid, you're not hooking up for lengths of time, and you're not planning to drive about a lot, because when you do, you recharge the battery. If you're going to be standing still for lengths of time and you want to run a laptop or hairdryer or hair straighteners or something, then a lithium is going to be the way forward. Yeah, well, I love you like to use yours.
So how many thousands do you need to spend to use your hair straighteners?
Jude bought a pair for the Harrogate show we were at recently, a 12 volt.
Yeah.
Plugged in the cigarette lighter. They were all right.
Perfect.
Yeah. I said they'll be rubbish, but they were okay. We were off grid and ran them off the battery. The battery's now dead. It's not. But we have a AGM battery in our motorhome.
So what's AGM stand for?
Absorbent glass matting. Is this a test?
No, it's just that,
So the plates inside are that it's glass matting inside, so they don't spill. There's no liquid inside. That's the key. So they're safe in an interior space. Whereas lead acid is acid. It's liquid. If the battery tips over, they should be in a box. This is key. Glyn didn't mention this, but a lead acid wet battery needs to be in a battery box, so it's protected, and if it spills or splits, the lead acid doesn't go everywhere.
Right, so there's these different technologies which are for different, well, the same thing really, but you use them in different ways, don't you?
That's it, yeah. It's all about how you're going to use it. And so if I would go and listen to the lithium episode, because I start that episode with a real world example to Oakley of Bristol Caravans and say, explain, should we buy a lithium? And he said, no. Let's talk about something else. So it really is about how you're going to use the motorhome or caravan. It's not straightforward, I'm sorry. If you've got a question on this, I'd love to help you if I can. You can ask it at motorhomematt.co.uk/ask Matt. You can record it or just submit it on a form.
And if you want to, you can go onto YouTube, can't you, Motorhome Matt, and you can see you in that interview, because he shows you a lot of the batteries.
He does, yeah, and you can watch me pick up a gel battery that's I think is going to be very heavy. And there's nothing in it. I nearly throw it across the aisle.
I bet he has jolly japes all day doing that one.
I'm sure he's still laughing about it now.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add then about our leisure battery?
No, I think it's good. I mean, the key thing is if you've got a question about it, do ask us. Just go to our Ask Matt page and submit your question, and we'll love to try and help you.
And it's not just the podcast I did mention, there's the YouTube channel as well, where you can get totally infoed up with everything to do with motorhomes, caravans and camping. It's true though, you can.
Hopefully, yeah, we're trying to help.
Yeah, you can hear it, you can see it, you can be it.
You can be it. That was good. That was off the cuff.
Did you like that?
No.
Let's dive into the loveliness of the audience Q&A, my favourite bit of every podcast, this one.
We love this section, don't we?
But I'm a bit of a downer. I'm sad because you've got a bit of a sad story to tell about theft, thieving, tea-leafing.
Tea-leaf, yeah, that. So there has been lots of reports, maybe rumours as well, that motorhome and caravan thefts have been on the rise. And obviously there are many more motorhomes on the roads than there used to be. So I guess if the percentage is the same, the numbers are going to go up. But we've been talking to Caravan Guard, and we have a brilliant episode coming up next week on motorhome security, caravan security, and what you need to know and think about. And part of that interview, I was talking to Jason, who's a senior member of the policy-making team at the insurer Caravan Guard. Now, he's a keen caravanner and told me about a scenario where he parked up in the motorway services with the caravan on the back of the car and somebody tried to steal it.
So, Jason, you had first-hand experience of this, didn't you? Where you were in the services, you went for a coffee, left your wife in the car but sat in the back. The caravan was hitched onto the car. What happened?
My son needed the toilet, so we pulled in, went inside. Can't have been more than about 15 minutes. And my wife was sat in the back because my son likes to sit in the front, as children tend to do. And she noticed there were a couple of individuals around the back of the car looking at the hitch of the caravan, probably to see if it had a hitch lock on, how it was fastened. And as soon as she opened the back door, they scarpered pretty quickly.
Do you think they were intent on stealing the caravan then?
Absolutely. It is something that we do find. Caravans are targeted at motorway services because that very thing happens. You might just nip inside even for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and it's not a requirement of our policy to put security on if it's still hitched up to the car. And thieves are aware of this, and within a couple of minutes could take it, especially if it's late at night or it's a quiet services.
Now, Caravan Guard do insure the caravan in that scenario, but not all insurers do they?
You certainly have to check the policy word and see if that would be covered or not. We recognise that yes, you need a break. It's common sense. We don't insist on it, but if you are going to be going inside, not just slipping to the toilet, having a meal, then at least put some security on it, just to make sure that nothing does happen. But there's less chance of anything happening if it's busy. But as I say, if it's a quiet time, there's a chance it could be stolen.
So that's Jason from Caravan Guard, and here's near horror story. I have heard actually about caravans being targeted in motorway services. Is the answer simply just to always have somebody stay with it while everybody else does, if you forgive the phrase, their business?
Yeah, quite. Yeah, I mean, if someone stays in the car or even in the caravan, then you're protecting the assets, aren't you? But that's a real worry, isn't it? And the fact that if that happened, imagine coming back from that wee and a coffee and the caravan's gone.
It's just disappeared. But what gets me is that it's not more difficult to get them off the car or off the towing vehicle.
No, it's dead easy. I mean, there are security features you can fit that lock them onto the car, so it can't be easily removed. But in seconds, the caravan's gone. I mean, I know lots of people that actually park up in the services and sleep. You wake up in the morning, caravan's gone, and then the worst bit, it's not insured. So, yeah, as Jason says, check your policy. But more on that next week on all the security features that you should consider for your caravan and for your motorhome, and the insurer's perspective on them as well.
Be wary. That is the phrase you need to remember. Don't assume everybody is as honest as you are. Steve got in touch from Lincolnshire. He says, great to say hi in Birmingham at the NEC. Looking forward to getting the Adria Matrix delivered.
Nice.
Your podcast has given me a great deal of confidence in my decision-making process. Good information, well delivered. Thank you, Matt.
Absolute pleasure, Steve. I assume he means his decision-making process about the motorhome.
It doesn't say Keith.
No, of course it doesn't.
It says thank you, Matt.
I'm sure he's a big fan of yours as well.
I'm sure he is. Thanks, Steve. Gerald is in High Wycombe. Hi, Matt. Love your podcast. Really great episode from the recent NEC. We're looking at purchasing our first motorhome. We particularly like the Auto Trail Apache 364. The layout and the birds, perfect for us. Looking at reviews, there seems to be, however, a lot of negativity around that particular one, especially read the Payload.
Yep.
Can you offer a novice any advice?
Well, you're absolutely right to check the Payload. Yeah, I actually went on to the Auto Trail website and looked at this particular model of motorhome, and quite right, the Payload is low. I mean, one of the models is 240 kilos, one of the models is less than that. There are models of Apache that you can upplate, so make a heavier curb weight, so you thus increase the payload. My advice would be is really do your research on which model you're buying and whether you can increase that gross weight. Obviously mindful, you have to have a C1 license to drive anything over 3.5 tons. We've talked about this a lot in the past. And if it's second hand, because you haven't said whether it's new or second hand, if it's second hand, then there are companies like SV Tech who will help you with this upplating process.
Right, and just for people who have just tuned in, the Payload is the difference between what the motorhome weighs without you and your belongings in it,
Yep.
and the amount it weighs once you've put all that in. Has it then exceeded the legal limit?
So there's a limit as to how much it can weigh, which is on your bonnet slam panel. So lift the bonnet, and underneath there's a weight, a gross weight, that it can weigh. It's also on the V5. That red and blue document. It's normally 3,500, and an Apache is 3,260. That's its curb weight. And there are other models with greater payloads than that in the Auto Trail range, and there's one or two which have a lesser payload. But if you think, I mean, I'm punching 16 stone, that is 100 kilos. That's half the payload gone. Now, it's also worth trying to find out, is the driver included in that curb weight when these figures are published in the brochure? And the only way to know that is to speak to that manufacturer and ask them for a breakdown of what did you include in the curb weight. Often they'll include full tank of diesel, the driver, but how much is allocated to the driver? It might only be 80 kilos. Well, that's you and me out. We're both bigger than that. The electric hookup cable, one bottle of gas. Often these things are included in the curb weight. So, yeah, Geraldine's quite right to be mindful of this and wary. And then, of course, you need to work out, Geraldine, how much do you weigh? Don't tell us, please. Keep that to yourself. And how much does all your stuff weigh? And are you going to fit into that payload?
Right, gotcha. By the way, have you had a leg amputated?
Why?
Well, but you said you weighed 16 stone.
Cheek. I actually weigh less than 16 stone.
Yeah, of course
now.
you do. Yeah. Peter's in Hereford. We ordered a new Swift Carrera 184 automatic campervan at the February 2023 NEC. Delivery August to October.
hopefully.
2023, hopefully. We are adding over the first 12 months of ownership the following. Now, he hasn't got it yet, okay? And this list is long. I'm going to give you the top 3 things. Complete new 600-watt solar and lithium battery system, replacing the factory-fitted system. Air suspension 50/50 off-road, road wheels and hydraulic self-leveling system. And reversing camera and additional safety security camera system. Dash cam, 360-degree surround camera system with an internal camera. And also is going to remove the Swift decals while keeping with the pure base vehicle colour. I haven't included everything that Peter is intending to buy, but Santa is going to be very, very busy this December. So realistically, says Peter, if we decided to sell after 4 years, would all the add-ons help its value when he came to resell it?
Blimey, depends if you get caught for robbing the bank to pay for that lot. It's a big list. Are you going to get your money back? No. So in my opinion, and the opinion of any dealer, extras that you add on to the vehicle don't really improve the value, not by the amount you spent on them. It simply makes it more desirable compared to the one next to it that maybe hasn't got any of these things on. You undoubtedly will add some value to it. Usability, yes. So things like the lithium system and the solar, I mean, you could take that off, Peter, and put it on the next one if you wanted to. But I mean, one of the things you mentioned here is removing the decals, and so you've made it a plain white van. I'd say if you're going to part exchange that vehicle, you probably devalued it by doing that. I'd be really cautious about doing that. I'm guessing you want to make it more stealth and look less like a motorhome for whatever reason. But I would be very cautious about doing that. I see people replacing decals on motorhomes, and you drive into a dealership and the dealer just scratches their head and says, "What on earth have you done? Why have you done that?" So I'd be very cautious about doing that. In terms of your question, will all the add-ons help it value at point of sale? Possibly a little bit, but you're definitely not going to get your money back.
What's this attitude that says if I spend a lot pimping up my motorhome or my caravan, that it's automatically going to increase its value? You're using it. These things are second-hand units now, and as you're saying, okay, it makes it more attractive on resale, but you're not going to make a profit out of it.
No, it's true, and it's odd really, because if it hasn't got it on and the next buyer wants those things, they're going to have to pay full money for it. So you think it would add a value, but as I say, it will add some value. We've just taken a motorhome into stock here, and it's a big motorhome, and it's got a similar list of accessories to this. And the previous owner spent probably £15,000. Well, we're going to advertise it at probably £3,000 or £4,000 more than its competitor that hasn't got any of this stuff on. And we had to have this conversation with the previous keeper, and they got it, they understood it, and they've used it for a year. And now it's coming to us for sale. But they do make the vehicle more attractive, yes, but they don't carry their value.
So the answer, Peter, is when it comes to sell it, it's going to be more attractive for the new buyer, but don't expect to make money out of it. Do you know what, Matt? I think we've reached the end of the programme. So how do people get in touch with us?
In same way as ever, go to the website motorhomematt.co.uk/askmatt, where you can ask a question. There's loads of information on the podcast. You can find all the previous episodes there as well. We're on YouTube at Motorhome Matt. While you're there, make sure you hit subscribe and hit the bell, and we can tell you when new episodes come out. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, we would love it if you'd leave us a 5-star review. It makes us all warm and fuzzy, and Keith gets very excited